Hello, it's Becky Roesler. I have Becky's Junk Journals on YouTube, and today I'm just going to show you real quick this new journal cover that I made and how I choose the signature papers and what's going to go into the signature. Then I'm going to show you how I put together the signature to go and get it ready to be sewn in. So this journal cover I made from a cereal box, and all it is the back side of a great big giant box of Cheerios. And I don't know if you can see it, but to make a rounded spine, since it's going to be a one signature and I have a thing about getting them fat, I just folded it in half and then I scored every 1/8 of an inch out about 4 times. So my rounded spine can go as much as about 1.5 inches, it looks like. Then I covered it with fabric and Tyvek. And if you want to see how I do the covers, I just recently posted some videos on how I make these covers. But this one's all done. I haven't decorated on the inside other than put the covers over the cardboard there. This is cardstock over the cardboard. And this journal is 7.5 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. So I'm going to be cutting down my papers to, my paper size is going to be, and I'm going to write it down so I don't forget it. It's going to, I'm going to make myself a note. My paper is going to be 7 inches tall by 5 1/4 max wide. And the reason for that is, well, it's going to have to be less than that. I'm going to say, I don't think my eraser, yeah, it works a little bit. All right. I'm going to give myself a 1/2 inch. Because when you stack all the papers together to make a signature, it bows out. So you give yourself about a 1/2 inch shorter than the actual, more narrow than the actual book cover is. So my papers are going to be 7 by 5 inches. And I've got that marked on there, so in case I get distracted and start doing something else, and I don't have to remeasure, and I know which is I've chosen for the top when I go to inside to sew it in, so the signature in. So I've got it marked to the top, I've got the full width and height marked, and I've got the paper size marked. And then I can, as I get around to it, I can do different things. When I made the signature, I wanted to use this topper that I had previously made out of a Kleenex box and one of Tim Holtz frames. I used some fabric that a friend of mine gave me, and it was too thin and the glue showed through in spots. So I went ahead and covered the whole front in lace before I put down my topper on top of that. Is how I did that. And on the back, I decided to do 3 stripes. I could have covered it completely, but these areas right here, the glue didn't show through too bad, and it's not really noticeable. So I'm going to punch 2 holes in the back and then run a ribbon through those 2 holes to come around and tie in the front for this closure on this journal. So I've got the closure figured out that I want. It's going to have 1 signature. And while I was making this, I kept some of the scraps and I gathered some other things together to inspire me in making this journal. So I've just got fabric scraps that I had gotten out thinking I might use them for the top, and I didn't. I've got a napkin here that I thought would go good. I've got a hanky that I think I would like to figure out how to use in this journal. I've got another hanky that I thought would kind of go with it, just in case. Got a green doily. Then this, I've already decided that this is going to be mostly green and gold and orange and tan and brown and, you know, sort of, this is about as fall as I get. So here's my inspiration postcard and some other cards that I've picked out that I would like to use somewhere in the journal. I've got another postcard that inspires me, a bingo card. And I've got some more fabric that, the fabric that I used in this, making this cover. And it's very thin. And I may do something and make a tie or do something to use. And I've got the scraps left over for making the inside of the cover. And so this is my inspiration pile. And once I get everything out of the way, I can show you what it turns into. Now that inspiration pile inspired me to collect these papers from my stash. I've got some papers that, I've got some envelopes that I want to use. I've got some papers that I've already folded over that I thought I might like to use in there. And then I just gathered a wide variety of papers of all kinds, and I like to use scrapbook paper in my journals. I enjoy the color and the pattern, and so this will give you the idea of where I'm going for making the pages in my journal, is how I think. Okay, so I've gathered it all together. And the next thing that I'm going to need to do is take all these things and figure out how they're going to fit in the journal. And for this big envelope I have here, I will repair and decorate the front of the journal and everything, and some of the back. I will probably use this as a tip-in. I could put it in the center as to tie it in, but I don't have to. And I have another envelope that I think I want to use in there. So all in all, there is 16 pieces of paper that I've collected, plus these two envelopes that I want to use. Now, I don't have to use that as a page. So I need to narrow it down, because in these little, you only have about, realistically, about 1.5 inches to work with on these rounded spines. And you can make it like that to get it where it's not overly full. This one I'm going to make with a lot of writing space in it. I'm not going to overly decorate it, because this is one I'm thinking of passing on to somebody else. So so my next thing is to fold all these papers and turn them into pages. And then once I make the pages, I'm going to make sure that they're not any taller than 7 inches and no wider when they're folded than 5 inches. And I have, this is my favorite paper cutter. I've been through several paper cutters that were cheaper. This one cost me about $35, but this is the best. It's got the fold out arm, and it's got the measuring places, you know, all along here. And this is sturdy, and I can replace the blade things real easy. And it's been great. I just love it. And I just donated the first couple that I bought, of the smaller ones, because they just didn't work very well, and they were flimsy, and they didn't really cut straight lines, but this one does, and I've been real pleased with it. So I'm going to, off camera, I'm going to go through all these papers because I don't want, because I put a lot of pockets and decoration in mine, I'm probably not going to put more than 10 or 11 pages in there. So there's lots, I want to make sure there's lots of room to add stuff to it. And I know all of you who are doing this love all the tags and the ephemera that we add to it. So for the paper lovers, I'm gonna try to save myself. I got to make 6 of these papers that I've collected go away. So, and that doesn't include the envelopes. I don't count the envelopes. I just count the actual pages. Okay, so 16 is going to become 10. I'm going to have to decide, and I'm going to have to cut them down. And I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll show you what I have. All right, I will be back soon. All righty, I've got my signature all put together, and when I finished my journal cover by adding the grommets on the back, and yes, I know they're not called grommets, but for the life of me, I can't remember what they're called. These are from We Are Memory Keepers, and I don't know what they call them, but I forget. I never can remember. So my ribbon will go from the back through here and then come around and tie in the front. Is how that's going to be my closure on this one. And the signatures, I got all my paper cut down, my pages cut down to the right size. And I saved all my offcuts and my scraps to use throughout the journal, so there'll be some continuity in the journal pages. And let me show you what I did. I went through, and once I had everything cut down to size, I went through and folded everything in half. The pages that were 12 inches wide, I just folded over 2 inches, because remember, I only want a 10-inch total, or 5-inch per page. So I will make a side tuck out of this fold over. Then I put some of that. And this page was a type of scrapbook paper that had a white back. And so I just used a glue stick and glued 2 pages back to back so I wouldn't have to deal with the white. Usually, a lot of times I ink the whole page and then stencil, but I decided I wanted to do some stenciling on some other plain pages, so I just glued those 2 back to back. This is a pattern from an embroidery pattern, actually, from a book. I wanted to do the stenciling on these 2 pages since they were plain. I wanted to give them some interest, and I wanted to play with my new, I love these new stencils. And here's another 2 pages. This one is a fold out. I wanted to use the botanical print that I have that was, I think it was 14 inches long, and I just cut the top off of it, and it was too wide to make a page. And so I just did it a tip in on the edge of the page to fold in. And also I put on the back of this was white on the back, this paper. And so I glued another sheet of scrapbook paper on the back so I wouldn't have to deal with the white. And so that's what it's going to look like. I saved my 2 envelopes aside, and I decided that I was going to use this one towards the back, and I'll probably, rather than glue it down, I'll probably do a fold over and paper clip it here. And the other one, I decided that it would be fun to use on the front cover like this, just glued over like that, and it'll be a flip out, and I'll make all kinds of pockets on it, and that'll fit in there like that. And I think that'll look good. And it'll flip open. Okay, I noticed that I have the top, because there is a definite top. I have the top marked, and I'm putting my paper clips at the top there, and I've got it pushed in tight. And now it's all ready for me to poke the holes in it. Poke the holes in the spine and then sew the signatures in. I'm not going to show you how I do that because it takes a little juggling around and it's hard to film for me. There's lots of people who have videos on how to do that. But I usually a 3-hole pamphlet stitch on these smaller journals like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll be coming up with another video. I'm trying, when I'm feeling good, I'm trying to do one a week. This week I've done 2, so I must be feeling better. I've got lots of energy. But thank you so much for watching. Come see me on Instagram at Becky's Journals. On Facebook, I'm Rebecca Roesler, and on YouTube, I'm Becky's Junk Journals. Bye-bye.